The penultimate season of The Boys just ended. Did this season do a little bit too much? Or outside of getting to know the brand new faces of the team, was this season just
perfect? Everything, down to the last minute details.
I can tell you what is perfect, and that is Anthony Starr as Homelander. Bro, I don't even care for awards, but he's been killing it consistently for 4 years now. He does stuff with his face that I didn't think was possible. I think he has more dialogue and more forms of communication with his face than what actually comes out of his mouth. He says so much with his facial expression, everything he's feeling, he can wear it in his face. He's probably one of the best facial communicators I've ever seen on screen. I feel like I can see what he's thinking every time I am watching him on screen, and not the actor, the character. Sometimes you see people and you can tell that they're thinking about the next words that they want to say. In Anthony Starr's case, I'm seeing Homelander think everything that he wants to do within that world. It's pitch perfect. And Homelander might be one of the greatest psychopaths on TV ever. Not only is he unstoppable, so he can do basically whatever he wants. Every attempt, which is basically the whole point of the show, every attempt to stop him ends in failure. And after each attempt, the team feels hopeless and they have to regroup. So you couple that with him being a psychopath, like next to Thanos probably is like one of the biggest things to go up against in terms of like superhero stuff. And unlike Superman, he's not boring because they bring conflicts to Homelander. He's the most perfect, powerful being ever. What do? You bring in conflicts with aging and him and trying to relate with his son Ryan. So he's so full of himself and he can't think outside of himself. He's hanging out with Ryan the whole season and he can't really relate to him. And on Ryan's part, he's a young man now, but as the character is growing, he's starting to show a little bit of psycho tendencies himself. So a very interesting question for the future is, where is he going to be at? Is he going to be on the good guy side or on the bad guy side? And on the flip side of that, you got Billy Butcher, who's just going insane from the effects of injecting himself with V from the last season. So there's a lot of conflict, obviously, not only with him, but between him and the boys. What do you do with a character that isolates himself from the team? You can't have him just wandering around, right? They did a brilliant job in pairing him with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who fits perfectly in the show. The show is now at a point where you're fantasy booking castings and you start picking actors who you would think would be fun to be playing around in this world. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is one of the actors on the top of that list for them to just let loose in this playground. He was a bit underutilized, if I'm honest, but every time I see him on screen, it's just a joy. So you just start thinking what other fun actors you would like to see run around in the Boys universe. I'm interested to see who they bring in, if they can bring in, because you're trying to wrap up a story. So it might be a little bit difficult to try to bring in a brand new character unless you do it kind of like the Jeffrey Dean Morgan way. Like imagine like a Mahershala Ali if Disney ever does something with Blade, so the poor guy can actually go and do other stuff. But imagine him in this world. I don't know as what. I have no clue, but I wouldn't even care. A Woody Harrelson would be fun too. And McConaughey. There's just a bunch of actors that would be fun to see running around in this world. Even like a Sandra Bullock would be like, ooh, what would she do? You know? Let me know down in the comments what would be your fantasy actors casting that you guys would like to see on the show. Even though the show's coming to an end and it's probably not going to happen, but still pretty fun. But just because they bring new people in doesn't mean that they neglect the people that they already have. They definitely play very well with the cast that is already in there, by introducing new problems and scenarios between each other. You know, there's some backstabbing and humping. Well, there's some humping too, but hopping over, enemy lines. But there's always a good reason behind what they're doing. Everything always makes sense. I don't know what the hell I was paying attention to before, but this, after 4 seasons, this is the first time I actually noticed there was a train sound effect when A Train appears.
Printed out boarding pass? Damn, what are you, 87?
Did y'all notice that? Y'all knew that? Am I the only stupido? I could be the only stupido, but there was just one instant where it was like, oh, it sounds like a choo-choo train. A train, choo-choo. It's probably there the whole time. So you can't have Homelander without massive manipulation. And of course, he has always been acting like he's the smartest person in the room and everybody else is beneath him. Everybody else is an ant. Everybody else is a cockroach. Like they're beneath him. both mentally, physically, and any other way possible you can compare people. So what they did this season, they actually brought the smartest person in the world, so he struggles with that throughout the whole season. So you have Sister Sage there helping him strategize. So now the team has the brains and the bronze both on the Seven side. They also brought in Firecracker, who, she is rage-inducing. She's got mega bitch face. I called her AI generated Scarlett Johansson. I hated her, but that was the point. So I gotta give a good job to Valerie Curry. That's the purpose of the show, is for you to get hate. The show's parodying a lot of stuff that's on TV right now on those channels specifically. It just keeps stacking the cards against the boys, and then the boys would hit back to the Seven, and then the Seven would retaliate, and then there's just a massive push and pull throughout the whole season. And of course, it's all wrapped in beautiful, elegant, disgusting, vile gore. The boys have a style of violence. If you were to put a bunch of different violent scenes on screen, I feel like it'd be very easy for me to pick which one belongs to the boys, from the color of the blood, from the sound effect of the violence to how it happens and how it moves, just the CGI of it. It's unique to that show, and it's very easy to point out how things sound when they flop, and the fact that they flop at all, and the movement of the CGI and the special effects of the violence. It just feels very The Boys because it's unique to the show. The way that heads get smashed in so easily is mainly because you're messing around with soups. It's all very stylistically unique to The Boys. And what is also unique is that each season they try to up the ante in the vileness and the grossness, all to evoke some sort of reaction. This season, I think I saw the most heinous, violent thing, and this isn't a show that literally had a guy explode from inside another guy's dick. Yeah, I just don't touch eyes. Don't mess with your eyes. So there's like a lobotomy scene that was horrendous for me to watch. I couldn't handle it. But yeah, the gore, sound effect, visuals. There's nudity too. The nudity has its own style as well. There was a Mortal Kombat shout out, which I caught, which I thought was really cool. It's wild now that reality is starting to become a little bit crazier than the show. They put out a statement before the finale due to some similarities with reality, not really touching upon the things that were already intentionally being parried on purpose, but just the timing of this episode and the theme of the episode with what just happened this past week. It's just wild. It's really, really crazy that reality is sharing similarities with the show that features flying farm animals. It's weird. It's wild. So of course the show does seek inspiration from what's going on right now in the real world. Of course, it's all done in parody, and it's very blatant who they're making fun of and how they're making fun of it. The finale, I feel a little weird about it because it actually takes place in January 6th. And then similarities to what happened in real life in January 6th they use as inspiration. I just hope that the next season it backs off a little bit from pulling maybe too much inspiration from real world. But they do set up something that they could potentially just go away to craziness, and I hope that they go there instead of keep commenting on the real world politics. I also feel like the last episode was a bit of a shock dump. It's all purposeful to set up the next and final season. But it was just a lot. It was just this guy and this lady and this thing and that happened and boom. And then it was a lot. It just really wiped things very, very swiftly, kind of out of nowhere to set up the final season. But I feel like everything that happened in the last episode could have easily been spread out in 2, maybe 3 more episodes if they really wanted to. Because so many impactful things happened in the last episode. It feels a little crammed in. And also with the sole purpose of just cleaning the slate and setting the table for the very next season. Like they were trying to just set up the next season more than giving us a payoff for this season. The Boys show as a whole is great because they never fell off from season to season. It always was a steady rise, both in entertainment and storytelling and powers, and whatever they were showing, the seasons were get better. I do feel like maybe this season is the only one where it didn't outdo the previous season. I feel like last season was maybe a little bit better, not by much. If I were to score them, I would probably score the third season a little bit higher than the fourth. And for that reason, we don't want shows to just take a huge drop off from season to season or to stall out. I'm kind of happy that the next season is the final season. I do hope, like I said, that they steer away from real life events a little bit and really focus on tying this awesome series with a gigantic, beautiful bow on it, set it on its way with the respect that it deserves, and just to give the fans a satisfactory ending. Shows lately in the final season, it's 50-50 whether they landed or not. As good as the show is throughout its entirety, sticking the landing is probably one of the toughest part in ending a show, I believe. But season 4 did a good job and left me excited for whatever comes next. Of course, let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of season 4 of The Boys, along with any other The Boys thought you guys have down there. I recently reviewed Disney's Acolyte or Acolyte. Which one is it? I know, but if you want to know, click right over here. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do.